The last conversation I had with someone who'd lived through unspeakable hardship changed everything I thought I knew about kindness. They told me something that stopped me cold. The words that nearly destroyed them weren't cruel ones. They were the gentle phrases people said to comfort them. You know those moments when someone's trying to help, saying all the right things, yet somehow you feel worse afterward? There's a reason for that. After spending years listening to people who've survived the darkest chapters of human experience, I've learned that some of our most compassionate sounding words can actually become chains that bind us to our pain. The truth nobody talks about is this: real kindness isn't always soft. Sometimes the most loving thing someone can do is refuse to let us escape into comfortable lies. Those who've walked through fire and emerged transformed on the other side understand something profound about human nature that most of us miss. They know that certain phrases we use to comfort each other can actually rob us of our greatest power, the ability to find meaning in our struggles. Today, I want to share with you 7 phrases that sound like kindness, but can hurt us deeply. These aren't just observations from everyday life. This wisdom comes from people who faced the ultimate test of human endurance, who discovered in the depths of suffering what truly sustains the human spirit. They learned that even in the darkest moments, we possess a freedom that no one can take away, the freedom to choose our response. Let me walk you through these 7 phrases, and more importantly, show you what real wisdom offers instead. The first phrase that can hurt more than it helps is, just forget about it. Now, when someone tells you this, their heart is usually in the right place. They see you hurting, and they want that pain to stop. They think if you could just push those memories away, file them in some dusty corner of your mind, you'd feel better. But here's what I've learned from people who've faced the unthinkable: forgetting isn't healing. I knew someone who survived something most of us can't even imagine. For years, well-meaning friends told them to forget, to move on, to leave it all behind. You know what happened? They became numb. Not peaceful, numb. There's a massive difference. They described it as living in a fog, going through the motions of life without really being alive. The pain was still there, just buried under layers of emotional deadness. Those who've studied human resilience deeply have observed something remarkable. When we try to forget our pain, we often forget our strength too. We lose the lessons, the growth, the profound transformation that can only come from facing our experiences head on. Think about it. Every scar tells a story, and every story holds wisdom. Real healing doesn't come from amnesia. It comes from integration. It's about looking at what happened, feeling what needs to be felt, and then consciously choosing what meaning we'll draw from it. One person I spoke with put it beautifully: my suffering became my teacher only when I stopped trying to forget the lessons. The second phrase that can do more harm than good is, it's not your fault. You're a victim of circumstances. Again, this sounds so supportive, doesn't it? Someone's acknowledging your pain, validating that bad things happen to you. They're lifting the burden of blame from your shoulders. But here's the hidden danger in those words. When we accept the label of victim, even when circumstances truly were beyond our control, we hand over our power. I've seen this pattern countless times. Someone goes through something terrible. Maybe they lose their job unfairly. Maybe their health fails through no fault of their own. Maybe someone they trusted betrays them. Friends rally around. Everyone agrees it wasn't their fault, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, they begin to see themselves as powerless. People who've survived the most extreme situations teach us something different. They discovered that even when you can't control what happens to you, you always control how you respond. That's your superpower, and nobody can take it away. I remember talking to someone who lost everything: their home, their savings, their health, all in the span of a few months. They told me the turning point came when they stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" See, life is constantly asking us questions, not with words, but through the situations we face. And we answer not with our mouths, but with our actions. When we embrace the victim label, we're essentially saying we have no answer to give. But those who found deep meaning in their struggles know better. They understand that taking responsibility doesn't mean taking blame. It means taking back your power to shape what comes next. The third phrase is one you've probably heard 1,000 times. You just need to be happy. This one's everywhere, isn't it? Social media, self-help books, well-meaning relatives at family gatherings. Everyone's telling you to choose happiness, to think positive, to focus on the bright side. But let me share what I've learned from people who found genuine, lasting fulfillment. Chasing happiness directly is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. The harder you grasp, the more it slips away. I knew someone who spent years doing everything the happiness experts recommended. Gratitude journals, positive affirmations, surrounding themselves with upbeat people. You know what happened? They felt emptier than ever. Why? Because they were chasing the wrong thing. Those who found deep contentment in life discovered something counterintuitive. Happiness isn't a goal, it's a byproduct. It shows up when you're busy doing something else, something meaningful. Think about the last time you felt truly, deeply satisfied. I'll bet you weren't trying to be happy. You were probably helping someone, creating something, or working toward a purpose bigger than yourself. People who've walked through darkness and found light on the other side tell me the same thing. Meaning matters more than happiness. When you have a reason to get up in the morning, when you're contributing to something beyond yourself, happiness tends to show up on its own. But when you make happiness your primary goal, you often end up feeling hollow, constantly measuring your emotional temperature, wondering why you're not happier yet. The fourth phrase that can harm us is, hold on, it will be over soon. This sounds like hope, doesn't it? Like a promise that the pain won't last forever. But I've seen what happens when people pin their survival on a timeline that may not come true. It's heartbreaking. Those who've endured prolonged hardship share a crucial insight. False hope can be more dangerous than no hope at all. I spoke with someone who spent years caring for a terminally ill spouse. Everyone kept telling them, this will pass soon, things will get better by spring, just a few more months. When those deadlines came and went with no relief, each disappointment hit harder than the last. Here's what survivors of extreme circumstances discovered. True strength doesn't come from believing suffering will end soon. It comes from finding a reason to continue regardless of when it ends. They learned to stop asking, how much longer? And start asking, how can I find meaning in this moment? One person shared something that stayed with me. They said when they stopped waiting for their circumstances to change and started focusing on who they were becoming through the experience, everything shifted. The suffering didn't end, but their relationship with it transformed. They found dignity in their endurance, purpose in their persistence. The real danger of "it will be over soon" is that it teaches us to endure rather than transform. We white-knuckle our way through counting days instead of discovering the profound growth that can only happen in difficult seasons. The fifth phrase is, look out for yourself. Now, self-care has become such a buzzword, hasn't it? Everyone's talking about putting yourself first, protecting your energy, focusing on your own needs. And yes, there's wisdom in maintaining healthy boundaries. But those who found the deepest fulfillment in life discovered something that might surprise you. The moments when we transcend ourselves, when we act for something or someone beyond our own interests, those are the moments when we feel most alive. I've talked to countless people who tried the me-first approach to life. They protected themselves fiercely, avoided anything that might drain them, focused entirely on their own goals and comfort. You know what they told me? They felt increasingly isolated and meaningless. Contrast that with people who found profound purpose. Almost without exception, their meaning came from looking beyond themselves. Maybe it was raising children, serving their community, fighting for a cause, creating something beautiful for others to enjoy. The paradox is striking. We find ourselves by losing ourselves in something greater. One person put it perfectly. They said, "I spent 40 years looking out for number one, and I was miserable. The day I started living for something bigger than myself was the day I actually started living." This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or ignoring your own needs. It means recognizing that exclusive self-focus is a prison. Those who've discovered lasting meaning know that our deepest satisfaction comes not from self-actualization, but from self-transcendence. The sixth phrase that can hurt us deeply is, "You don't have to suffer." This one comes from such a good place. Someone sees you in pain and wants to take it away. They tell you suffering is optional, that you can choose not to feel it, that there's always a way around it. But people who've lived through unavoidable suffering know a different truth. Suffering is woven into the fabric of human existence. We lose people we love. Our bodies age and fail. Dreams shatter. Disappointments accumulate. Trying to avoid all suffering is like trying to avoid being human. I've watched people twist themselves into knots, trying to escape every discomfort. And you know what? They suffer anyway. They just suffer without meaning. Those who found wisdom through hardship discovered something profound. The question isn't whether you'll suffer, but what you'll do with your suffering. Will you let it embitter you or enlighten you? Will it make you smaller or help you grow? I knew someone who faced a devastating diagnosis. For months, people kept telling them they didn't have to suffer, offering endless ways to avoid or minimize their pain. But they told me something remarkable. They said accepting their suffering, really accepting it, was the most liberating thing they ever did. Not because they wanted to suffer, but because fighting reality was exhausting them more than the illness itself. When they stopped resisting and started asking what this experience could teach them, how it could deepen their compassion, what wisdom they could pass on to others facing similar struggles, that's when they found a peace that transcended their circumstances. They discovered that suffering faced with courage and dignity becomes an achievement that no one can take away. The seventh and final phrase is, "Let go and let fate decide." This sounds so spiritual, so evolved. Just surrender, stop fighting, let the universe handle it. But those who've navigated life's hardest challenges know there's a crucial difference between acceptance and passivity. I've seen what happens when people interpret letting go as giving up their power to choose. They stop making decisions, stop taking action, stop engaging with life. They become leaves blown by the wind and then wonder why they feel so lost and powerless. People who've survived extreme situations tell a different story. They learned that while you can't control everything, you must fiercely protect the one thing you can control, your response. Even in the most constrained circumstances, even when external options are limited, you retain the freedom to choose your attitude. One person shared how they learned this lesson. They were in a situation where almost everything had been taken from them: their freedom of movement, their possessions, their plans for the future. For a while they gave in to fate, became passive, stopped fighting. They told me it was the closest they came to losing themselves completely. The turning point came when they realized that accepting what they couldn't change didn't mean giving up what they could change. They couldn't alter their circumstances, but they could choose dignity over despair. They could choose to help others in the same situation. They could choose to maintain their values even when it would have been easier to abandon them. This is the ultimate human freedom, the freedom to choose our response. When we let fate decide everything, we abandon this freedom. We become objects acted upon rather than subjects acting in the world. So what does all this mean for you and me sitting here in our everyday lives? It means that the next time someone offers you these seemingly kind words, or you're tempted to offer them to someone else, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this really helping? Or is it offering an escape that will ultimately leave someone weaker? Real compassion sometimes means sitting with someone in their pain without trying to fix it. It means believing in their strength, even when they don't. It means refusing to let them give away their power, even when keeping it feels overwhelming. Those who have walked through fire and emerged transformed teach us that our greatest growth comes not from avoiding difficulty, but from finding meaning within it. They show us that we're stronger than we know, that we have more freedom than we realize, that meaning is available to us even in our darkest moments. The words we use matter. They can lift someone up or subtly undermine their strength. They can point toward truth or offer comfortable lies. Choose wisely. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you experienced these phrases in your own life? How did they affect you? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is share hard truths wrapped in genuine care. Remember, you have within you right now everything you need to face whatever comes. Not because life is easy, but because you're stronger than you know. Not because suffering will end soon, but because you can find meaning in this very moment. Not because you're a victim or a hero, but because you're human, and that means you have the power to choose your response to whatever life brings. That's a power no circumstance can take away. That's a freedom no situation can destroy. That's the wisdom those who've walked through darkness want you to know. Take care of yourself, but remember, taking care includes growing stronger, not just staying comfortable. Face what needs facing, feel what needs feeling, and above all, never give away your power to choose who you become through it all. Until next time, remember that real wisdom often comes wrapped in paradox. The things that sound harshest can be the most loving. The paths that look hardest can lead to the most freedom. And sometimes the kindest thing someone can do is refuse to let you settle for less than your full strength. Keep growing, keep choosing, keep becoming. The world needs the wisdom you're gaining through your journey.